Hello, writers. I'm Harule Stokes from HaruleStokesWrites.com, here to share some great writing information with you without all the BS rules and nonsense. This is part 3 of my How to Write a Novel for Beginners series, where I'll be discussing my method, my personal method of writing a novel. How do you start? Where do you go? How do you make it happen? So please subscribe below and also hit that bell icon to be notified of all future videos. So, no more waiting. Let's get to work. The first thing we're going to be discussing is character profiles. That's number 1 of this section. In part 2 of the series, we took a look at addressing character attribute lists, where we wrote down the physical characteristics of the characters we'll be writing about. But for character profiles, we're looking to create a sort of history for the characters that we want to really come to life before our readers and be more than just what they really are, which is just figments of our imagination. So, let's get started asking a simple questions like, are they rich or poor? Big family, small family, were their parents divorced? Do they have siblings? Were they abused? Did they suffer depression? Whatever. You can and should know these details because they affect how your character deals with the world that you're going to be tossing them into. So, let me give you an example. Like in Fallen Sun, my lead characters are all women. Now, I needed them to become close friends, even though they were from very different backgrounds. And I had to make it believable. And that was the most important part to me. They had to have a believable relationship between one another. I didn't want to use the war as their only reason for being so tightly bound. It had to be more to me. So, Patricia, who I wanted to be the more aggressive of the trio, she was used to having sisters, since she was the youngest by a few years of 2 sisters. So it made sense for her to have that sort of relationship with Jocelyn, who's much older. But Jocelyn, she had no children at all. All her parents were dead. Everybody was gone. She was recently divorced, and she was a teacher. But she kind of needed to have these 2 friends of hers, and they helped to build her up. While Ophelia, who's very religious, she was saved by these 2, and she kind of attached her religiousness, like she saw them as a gift of God to her. So that really gave her the courage to fight, and that really bound her to them. So without me actually having to say anything specifically to the reader, I still portrayed them and had them speaking and their behaviors to one another based on their history. So their individual history literally became the glue that bound them. And it made their tight bonds even more believable to the readers because they had a history that supported it. Now, your characters, especially the main ones, need to have believable relationships. Without that, everything else comes up as fake. All right, part 2 of this series, world building. Okay, world building is huge, it's heavy. Some stories you can literally write a book, and some have, about the history of their world. World building can be really involved. You need to know, you know what, I'm just going to do a whole separate thing, like specifically to break down the details. But for this video, we're just going to touch on the big things that you really need to pay attention to and what you need to do to really help flesh out your world. First, all those ideas you have, write that shit down. I know it seems like I'm asking you to write down a lot of stuff. I know. But just hear me out. If your world is super complex and you don't write it down, I'm telling you, you're going to hit some inconsistency sooner or later. Like for sections, I didn't write down everything. At least not in the same place. I had notes all over the place with 3 different books. But it wasn't in one place. So those bits of information, when I really needed them, something specific to pull out from them, I really couldn't find it easily. And so don't do what I did. Try to put all your world's information in one singular place that you can easily get to. That information hub will become your book's Bible. That'll help you not only have a place where you can always refer to whenever you have a specific question about something, but it also helps to concretize your ideas when you're writing it down. So when you feel like making something new up, you can always go back to your Bible, see if it even fits in your world. And if it doesn't, get that idea out of here. You don't want those confusing ideas to screw up your entire story because you didn't know all the details and how it fits in. And finally, part 3 is the prologue. Some say don't do it, some say do it. I personally would say do what works. That's not the best answer, I know, and I say that a lot, But it's true. I used to be against prologues, but now that I'm writing my third book, I see that I need one, and so there's some worth now for me, obviously, because I need to do it. What's a prologue? A prologue is basically a separate introduction to the story. The mistake some authors make is that they make the prologue like a chapter one, and it's not. It has to be something different. You want the prologue to address some of the stuff, but not actually be connected to the story directly. Of course, you're going to have to make it compelling so readers like me won't skip it, because I skip that all the time. It should be useful, but not necessary for the story to make sense. It should make sense in and of itself. It's not an easy thing to do as a prologue. Those are not easy. I'm actually going to write mine at the very end of when I finish my book completely, my work in progress, and then I'll make a prologue, because if I try to do it without knowing all the details and how the prologue is going to fit, it probably won't work as well. So, yeah, I think that's it. So subscribe below, hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified of the future invoices, which are coming out every Tuesday. Invoice. I keep saying invoice. I used to be in accounting, so invoices keep coming up in my mind when I say sending something out or doing something. It's weird. Anyway, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified of all future videos. All right? Remember, no excuses, just right. Peace.